And I wonder how, like, I 1997, so I'm in year 25 in this walk.
Mm-hmm.
And there's definitely been peaks and valleys, and
Yeah.
and I've really been in the past 2 years in this space where I was like actively mad at God, and the reason was my passion. My passion is to change the wealth trajectory for the Black community, not for the sake of being rich, but for the sake of having more autonomy in your space, not letting somebody dictate how you should see your life. You should see your life through Christ, and I think that you need resources to do that.
Oh yeah.
Just like the church needs resources to.
Well,
to.
So never forget, and listeners should never forget this. Jesus came, and he said, "What's your biggest need? You hungry? Okay. You thirsty? Okay. You need a job? Okay." Like his first thing was create margin.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Black community, that primarily, I mean, at least the Black communities that we serve,
Mm-hmm.
they're at or below the poverty line.
Yeah.
That's called survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to see anything but the survival that stands in front of you?
Absolutely.
So if you create margin,
Mm-hmm.
so you create wealth space,
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden, as a community, you go, oh, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
And, oh, we could go over here,
Yeah.
and we could do this. But like I said, I'll reference back to Damon, who grew up in one of these communities.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, he sees two options: one, sell drugs;
Mm-hmm.
two, work at McDonald's. So it's like, and in his survival mode, it's kind of like, okay, that's all I can see.
Yeah.
If he had margin, and if his family was not, and then their family were not all just survival mode. So you kind of go one of these two paths. Then he has the space to see differently.
Absolutely.
And it's like, oh, you know what? We could just create a whole different thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting that as humans, I truly believe, and this is my opinion, but 41 years of this opinion, we are designed to operate with our imagination. Think about a child. Before a child has any inhibitions, her imagination is endless.
Yeah.
And then we say, no, you can't do that, and we knock it down. But then you think about the greatest entrepreneurs, because they have the resources to do, their imagination, Elon Musk thinks like a child thinks. Why can't I do that?
Yeah.
And so our goal at Space and Equity is to enhance the ability for Black folks to use their imagination and change their territory, because nobody cares about your house the way you care about your house. So that's my life mission. So I feel, coming back around, I feel like I had to get mad at God and have him laugh at me for me to have the courage to walk into what I'm doing now, because it was safe and comfortable to do it in the corporate space. Like, I'll do entrepreneurship on the side, but no, I had to get all in and burn the ships.
Yeah.
But before I had to go to the extreme as a believer to have the audacity to say, I'm mad at God, and he laughs and just shows me, hey, this is the vision that I have for your life. But in order for you to walk out that vision, you got to trust in me and me only.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a different space.
It is.
And you've walked that for some time now. So you've got Historic.Church, and then our connection is through formerly Achieve DFW, now U&I. Yeah. You came on board with us a year and a quarter ago, and you got a chance to look from outside the lens and say, woo, you guys have a great mission, but nobody knows about that.
Yeah.
Tell me from there.
How can you be a 70-year-old organization and people in your own tight community don't even know, really what you do or what you're about? And so I think, for me, I've spent my life in the margins, for the margins. Mm-hmm. That's just kind of the space I love. I love my heart. You always say, what breaks your heart? That's what breaks my heart. So I'm in it. And for those that are being excluded. And so the people with disabilities represents a huge segment of the population, and a huge segment of the population that is dismissed, or at least thought of as a little less than, if not a lot less than.
Yeah.
And so, we're talking about where you give your life. I came in and I noticed that this organization was primarily focused on people with disabilities, also people that have barriers to work, getting employment.
Okay.
And so in the employment game, which is a big game. I mean, it's the same. It's alleviating poverty. It's changing, cycles. It's all the things. And so,
creating autonomy for those who are marginalized and thought less of, and thought they don't have the capacity to do it because they're other abled.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And so then, like you said, I think they've been told their whole lives there's something that, so then you talked about wonder and imagination.
Yeah.
I mean, they've just been told, no, you're not. And so that's why, man, you want to jump in as a human that cares about this mission. And at the same time, we needed to, Jay-Z, let me upgrade. We needed to upgrade our brand, our organization, and let people know. So one of the ways we do that is every year. This is our 28th annual. Last 2 years because of COVID we didn't, but we have this thing called the Dash. Okay. It's a 5K, but we've leveled it up. It went from a 5K, now it's a glow run. Trinity Groves, I mean, that's the poppin' area. Yeah. Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge, if everybody knows it, or if you're in the DFW, so that's the starting line. But we're gonna have live entertainment 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. We're gonna have beer garden and food trucks and a kid zone and shop small market. Like it's a thing, and it's all about spreading the light of inclusion for people that are in the margins. So yes, people with disabilities, which only 25% of people with disabilities that are employable are currently employed, which is insane.
So you're telling me that there's a 75% unemployment rate for people
with
living
disabilities.
with disabilities.
Yeah, yeah. Because I tell people all the time, so that we kind of play in three spaces: people with disabilities. What people don't know much about us, because that also includes we have a lot of veterans with disabilities, et cetera. And then the two places they don't know that we play as much, but they're going to know more, is we play with people with a record. So I have a misdemeanor, I have a felony. I mean, so there's that space, and then there's just the space of people that grow up in certain area codes or zip codes where you're like, what zip code is that, or where are those kids?
Yeah.
Or who are that? Who's that? And so those are the three spaces we play in. And I challenge people all the time. If you have an open position in your company, just be honest with yourself. In your mind, when you have an open position, do you think, we should go and look at people with disabilities or people with a record or people that grew up in these neighborhoods?
Nope, and nope.
Exactly. And that is my mission, is to change that game, because I'm not saying that it's easy.
It's that comfort that we like. It's comfortable to the clean guy.
Yeah. I mean, it's here's the two guys you're going to go get. You're going to get your friend, which just further accelerates the system. Because I'm going to go get a friend of mine that looks like me, talks like me, votes like me, religion's like me, educates like me. So you're going to go to that. And then you're going to go to what you perceive is the most talented, experienced person that went to this school, that worked at this place. That's how you're going to make decisions. Yeah. And I'm not saying that's a negative, and I'm not saying that some of your positions shouldn't be filled by that. Of course you should. But you should also make space and equity. You should also make space at the table for this huge untapped talent pool. Yeah. And not just immediately dismiss them because they grew up in a certain place, because they have a record, or because they have a disability or a different ability, right? So
how does that enhance my profit margin? Because it's not just doing this for altruistic purposes.
No.
How can I enhance my profit margin by thinking outside the box, as you just described?
Right. Well, what's interesting is there's been data, statistical analysis done on companies that hire people with disabilities. It doesn't just impact their bottom line in a positive way, because it does, but it also impacts culture. And we all know that culture matters, especially if you want to win championships time and time again. And so on top of all of that, you increase the imagination of the organization, because you don't have all the same people that think the same way. Yeah. So your creative meetings, your what if meetings get better. On top of that, you create an actual model for other people outside of the organization to how do you actually create diversity. We talk about wanting diversity, we talk about inclusion a lot in life, we talk about equity, but how do you actually do it? Well, if you never hire anyone that looks different or talks different or thinks different, it's just an echo chamber that just keeps going. And so there's so many tangible and intangible, but tangible ways that it impacts a business in a positive way. And, but that openness of like the top level leaders that are making decisions on who to hire, it trickles down, and then it can be transforming, and it is transforming. So it has an impact on, yes, the financials, and that's proven in a positive way. Now, I will say this, the pace at which certain people can go, you have to be willing to say, oh, maybe we'll go slower here. Or we'll go a different route. And but it pays off, and I don't have time to like go into all the I would encourage people to read a book called Untapped Talent.
Who's the author?
Jeff
Couch you on the spot.
Untapped
Talent.
And your guys could probably put that in and
post.
We'll
put that in the margins.
But
in the margin.
Hey, but yeah, I would Korzenik. I don't know how to spell it, but anyways, read it, because he did studies specifically on people that hire ex-cons, and he's an economist, Yale or Harvard guy, that did not look at it from an altruistic perspective. He's not looking at it like I do as a pastor and love people. He looked at it as just let's bottom line money. Because it's all about cost, and we know that.
So it's interesting that transitions to two questions I have, twofold, and you can tack them the way you want to. First is, how do we integrate things like gaming, the metaverse that is at our doorstep, already happening, is going to be part of the natural order of the business community? How do we integrate that with adults living with disabilities and barriers to work? Also, why and how does a nonprofit utilize social enterprise for profit purposes to perpetuate?
Yes, two great questions. Okay, so first, the future of the workforce, right, lies in the metaverse, right? It fintech, or whatever you want to call it, blockchain, virtual reality, all these things they're not just like, fly by night. Like, this is the future, right? So it's the future of workforce, period, right? So if you're going to make space, then that's what we're really focused on, the idea that in gaming and the gamification of education and the gamification of workforce training is that's the next for us. And so what we're doing is paying attention and saying, okay, we've got to, we call it taking the meta to the margins, but the metaverse to the margins. So what we're going to do is take training for jobs in the metaverse or jobs in gaming, even help desk jobs, stuff like that. We're going to take that into the marginalized communities and into the disability space, and we're going to train them. And the way we're going to do that is by creating games and virtual reality worlds where you're learning a skill while playing a game. And the other thing that people don't think about is about 40% of the entire gaming community are people with disabilities.
Okay. So it's already in their lap, and now you can use it.
Oh, it's millions. Think about it. You have immediate equity in as a person with a disability. People are looking at your avatar, and you might be beating their ass at this game, and they don't know that you have a disability. They don't have time to dismiss you. They can't say, oh, you're not this or you're not that. No. I'm just beating you.
Yeah.
And so like the gaming space is already one that the people with disabilities run towards. It's also one that everybody under 40 is running towards.
Yes.
So that's why we call it the future. And so many leaders over 40 just kind of completely either blind or want to be ignorant about the future of tech and gaming and meta. But man, I'm telling you, the guys that I talk to that are going and growing new businesses and stuff like that, excuse me, are headed in that direction. And I think that we need to, excuse me.
Absolutely. Dude, man,
So, but you asked me about
social enterprise.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Making for-profit nonprofit.
Right. So the nonprofits that are going to crush it into the future, I believe, are the ones that have a for-profit mindset, because fundraising has become difficult, even more and more difficult. And right now, with the volatility of everything, and you're talking about, say, a guy that's got, $250,000 to invest every year, or a millionaire that's got, all kinds of ways he can spend his money. Man, right now, at least like the VCs and stuff I'm talking to are like, hey, people are holding tight. They're holding tight to their money, or they're going with like, I need you to, like, the one thing that's definitely going to hit. That's what I'm going to put my money in.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take as many big risks or as many risks, right? So if that's the case, and nonprofits, A, there's so many of them, and B, everybody's fighting for the same like little egg of money, and so like, I think that you have to think different. You have to think more creative with your fundraising. I also understand and know that like, you're going to be competing with, say, Susan G. Komen or something, and you're a smaller nonprofit. Yeah. Guess who gets the money? Susan G. And then if you say, well, I'm going to get grants, good luck. Grant money is also getting fought for at a record pace right now. And do you really want to be that nonprofit that says I'm 95% reliant upon grant money from the government? And we all know the volatility of the government. Yeah. Like, it's like this, crazy. And like, it depends on who's in office and who likes this and who does this and what's the initiative and where the money goes, right? Yeah. So if you're all dependent, that's why so many nonprofits have closed their doors. Yeah. So we have to think different. You create, like you said, social enterprise, and you got to be smart in how you think through it. But there are so many cool I call it ingenuitive, but indigenous to where you're at, and ingenious because it's creative. You mix those two, and you say, what do I need to do to make money? Yeah. That's then going to fund the mission, the nonprofit mission, which is a great mission. I mean, not ours, just everybody. And
it's interesting that all these nonprofits are made up of these boards who are industry leaders, business, high acumen. Now it's leveraging those boards and say, okay, rather than you, yes, write us a check, get us a check, but take your acumen and make us enterprise.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And I think the days of, well, number one, a lot of nonprofit boards are more about the board members kind of having like this, title. Yeah. Yeah. And so
looks good on LinkedIn.
Yeah, it does. And especially if it has a word in it that's a buzzword. But it's like, the days of board members being kind of inactive or just being able to throw in a word, I think, again, you might be a board of that organization for a minute, but that organization needs you. They need you to participate, and they actually do need you to have a for-profit business mindset. You can't just take that. That's the kind of thing, it's like I'm going to almost dumb myself down in a way, like just to take my hat off, and I'm going to sit here and
here's my donated time.
Yeah. And the whole idea of, especially people that kind of claim to follow the GS way, is you got to leverage you for we. You got to leverage you for we. So you got to leverage your contacts, your business acumen, like you said. I mean, those are so valuable. And we've got to dig deep as nonprofits and say, how can we get out there and hustle, make money, and make a lot of it? Why not? Because you're putting that money into something that's going to change the game.
Yeah, the mission is still going to be the one that is.
Yeah. You always make decisions based on the mission. You marry the mission, you date the model. Your model is currently government funding, I'm relying upon, this, and this. I think you got to think about your model going for profit, and you got to have a for-profit mindset. And for us, that means getting into that some of those spaces that are not traditional for nonprofits. Yeah. Like I said, like, and even in real estate, get into real, like we're looking at that.
Yeah.
So
we're in the game of cash is volatile right now. So you got to be in the game of assets in every organization. So real estate is a great place to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hugh, I appreciate it. We're going to have you back.
Oh yeah.
When do I get to come on the podcast? You think as a board member, that's something that I can
the Indie Next podcast?
Yeah, as the Indie Next.
Yeah, Indie Next. Well, we're not excluding people from Wake Forest. We're just letting you be in your normal space. I think y'all sit about, I don't know, halfway into the ACC every year. And so the people that win championships kind of get the first,
I
first
see
on Indie Next.
What you're saying.
I'm just letting you know.
I'm trying to recall the Tim Duncans and the Chris Pauls of the Baylor world. And for some reason, all I come up with is RG3. And I'm not saying that he wasn't a great athlete. I'm just saying he's not on their level. That it's just all customized.
I've always heard it's about the rings. So I'm just looking for the rings still at Wake Forest. I just can't see them. Maybe they're hidden in a place I don't know about. Like that y'all keep that kind of under wraps.
So we got a funny pastor, a cussing pastor. But hey, you're in good company.
I know.
Am I putting you out there?
Hey, hell no, you're not putting me out there. Come on. How do you
how do you express true anger with gosh? I need to say shit. I feel better now. And I still love Jesus.
Yeah. Oh man. And it's so twisted. Like Jesus, he brought the best wine to the end of the party.
Yes. Yeah.
He was the after party in the hotel lobby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's when he was bringing the
the Mad Dog 2020. He brought the Hennessy.
Yeah. It's Hennessy at the end.
At the end.
Are you kidding me? That's the guy we serve. Yeah. That's the guy that we want to imitate. And to think that's kind of that religious box thing. It's just it frustrates the flip out of me because I'm just like, so we create humans that don't cuss, but they also don't do a damn thing in the community.
Yeah.
Really? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. I appreciate the idea that, cussing as a derogatory, I'm coming at you as a human, I would never in any way, shape, or form say that that's love. Yeah. And then Jesus is love. So that's not something he would do. Yeah. Right. But the idea that, he hits his thumb and says, gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Well, that's what that has it. Hugh Breland of Historic.Church of U&I, spreading the light, ending exclusion everywhere it raises its ugly head.
And don't forget to get people to come out March 26th.
March 26th. Dash Dallas.
Yeah.
Trinity Groves.
Yes.
What's the bridge? The name of the bridge?
Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge.
All right, come out. Be out there, run. We're going to have Chiedu Chukuma of Space and Equity.
Yes.
Hopefully he should win for the folks over 35, under 40. I'm putting him out there.
Uh-oh.
All right, so that's it. Obi Chukuma, Space and Equity, are all about increasing assets, creating new space. As you know, check us out on our YouTube page, Come Correct Podcast. If you type in Chukuma, probably going to come up. Come Correct, probably going to come up. Like and subscribe. Also check us out on IG, Obi_empowers, Space and Equity Corp, LinkedIn page, website. Come check us out. Be part of the movement. We're coming correct, so they absolutely cannot stop us.